So welcome everybody to this latest video 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the GCSE Maths higher topic test of functions. Now as always I'll include a copy of the questions that we go through in this video as a link in the description below for you to have an attempt at before watching this video as we go through the answers, and I'll also include links to all my video lessons on functions, so if there are any aspects of functions that you're not too sure about, all you need to do is just simply click on that, watch the video, and you should be absolutely fine. Now before we get started, just a little reminder that a copy of the questions that we go through in this video are available for you to download and have an attempt at, and all you need to do is just simply click on the link in the description, and in the description I'll also include a link to all the particular videos connected to functions in terms of the lessons. So if there are any aspects of functions that you're not sure about, just simply click on the link and it will direct you straight to a video that talks you through it. So let's get started on these questions. So let's first of all zoom in just to make sure that we can see it on the screen. So question 1 says f of x equals 3x minus 1, g of x equals x squared plus 2, work out the value of f of 4. So for this all we need to do is sub x equals 4 into f of x. So substituting 4 into this expression here, so all I'm doing is replacing 4 with x. So I'm going to get 3 times 4 take away 1, which is 12 take away 1, which is 11. Then for question 1b, it says work out the value of g6. So here all we need to do is sub x equals 6 into g of x. So looking at g of x, which is x squared minus 2. So swapping the x with 6, we get 6 squared plus 2, which is 36 plus 2, which is 38. Moving on to 1c, it says simplify fully to a. So what we want to do is sub x equals 2a into f of x. So then if f of x is 3x minus 1, so here I'm going to replace x with 2a and I've got minus 1. So then expanding this out, I get 6a minus 1. That can't be simplified any further, so my final answer is 6a minus 1. Then for 1d, it says find the expression of gx plus 1, give your answer in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So g of x is equal to x squared plus 2, or plus 2. So here what I'm doing is I'm replacing the x with this. So what this then becomes is x plus 1 squared plus 2. So then expanding this out, so that then becomes x plus 1 plus 2. Then expanding this out and simplifying, I get x squared plus 2x plus 1 plus 2. And then simplifying these two things here, I get my final answer of x squared plus 2x plus 3. Moving on to question 2, it says h of x is 2x squared minus x cubed for all values of x. Work out the value of h of minus 3. So here all I'm doing is wherever I see an x, I'm going to replace it with what's in the bracket, which is minus 3. So here I get 2 to the power of minus 3 squared minus 3 cubed. So then here this bracket, minus 3 times minus 3 is 9, so that becomes 2 times 9. Minus, and minus 3 cubed, that's minus 3 times minus 3, which is 9, times minus 3 is minus 27. So that then becomes 18 plus 27, which gives me an answer of 45. Then moving on to question 3, it says f of x equals ax plus b, f of 2 equals 4, and f of 6 equals 24. So for this, what I want to do is sub x equals 2 into f of x, and it equals 4. So what that's going to look like is 2a plus b equals 4. Then if I do the same for this next one, I've got 6a plus b equals 24. Then if I take this down, so I get 2a plus b equals 4, you can see that it becomes a simultaneous equation. So the b's are the same and they're the same sign, so we take away. So end up with 6a take away 4a, which is 2a, sorry, which is 4a. b take away b is nothing, and 24 take away 4 is 20. So that means that a must equal 5, And then from this I can then work out what b is. So taking 2a plus b equals 4. I know that a equals 5, so that's going to be 10 plus b equals 4. So b equals minus 6. So there are my two values. So a equals 5 and b equals minus 6. Moving on to question 4, it says that f of x equals 2x plus 3. Find an expression for inverse value of x. Give your answer in its simplest form. So to work out the inverse function, I first of all make it equal to y. And then what I then want to do is rearrange to make x the subject. So I've got x minus 3 equals 2x. And then y minus 3 over 2 equals x. Then from this, what I then want to do is swap the x with the inverse function notation and swap the y with x. So it becomes this. So the final answer then is x minus 3 divided by 2. Then moving on to question 5, it says g of x equals 12 minus x, h of x equals x squared. Find the expression of g of h of x. So what I want to do is if I look at g, wherever I see an x, I'm going to swap that with the function of h of x. So whatever's in yellow, I'm going to swap it with what's highlighted in pink. Let me just make sure that is pink rather than a dodgy shade. So substituting that in, I get 12 minus, instead of writing x, I'm going to write this function instead. So that becomes x squared. So the final answer then is 12 minus x squared. For question 5b, it says Peter says that hg of x is equals to gh of x. Is he correct? So first of all, let's work out each of those two things. So hg of x, I've worked out in part A, which was 12 minus x squared. So what I then need to do is work out gh of x, which if I substitute h into g, I'm going to get 12 minus x, and that's my x, and I'm going to square that. So if I expand the brackets, I get 144 minus 24x plus x squared. And as you can see, these two things here are not the same. So is Peter correct? No, he is not. Moving on to question 6, it says f of x equals x over 2 plus 6, g of x equals 4x squared minus 2 for all values of x. Find an expression for fg of x. Give your answer in the form of ax squared plus b, where a and b are integers. So what I want to substitute is wherever I see an x in f, I want to swap that with g of x. So if I start by writing fg of x, so instead of writing x, I'm going to write what's in pink first. That's going to be 4x squared minus 2, all divided by 2 plus 6. So looking at this, if I divide everything by 2, that becomes a 2, that becomes a 1. So all that's left is 2x squared minus 1 plus 6. Then if I join these two things here, I get my final answer of 2x squared plus 5. Then moving on to question 7, it says f of x equals 3x minus 2. Show that 2f of x minus 18 inverse function of x simplifies to give me an integer. So first things first, let's look at these two components. So here 2f of x is going to be 2 lots of this. So that's going to be 2 times 3x minus 2, which gives me 6x minus 4. So let me just put a little bubble around that. Then the next thing for me then to work out is the inverse function of x. So that's going to be make it equal to y. Then make x the subject. So I've got y plus 2 equals 3x. So y plus 2 divided by 3 equals x. So the inverse function of x is going to be x plus 2 divided by 3. Now I then want 18 of this. So if I just put a little bubble around this to begin with. So then looking at all of this in its entirety, so 2f of x minus 18 lots of the inverse function of x. Well, this is 6x minus 4 minus, and if I put brackets, it's going to be 18 lots of x plus 2 over 3. Let me just get rid of that second bracket and make it a bit bigger. And this is what I've got. Then working with this, what I end up with is 18x plus 36 divided by 3, and I've still got that 6x minus 4. Then I can simplify this fraction by dividing everything by 3. So that becomes a 1, that becomes a 12, and that becomes a 6. So then what's left is 6x minus 4 minus 6x minus 12. The 6x's cancel out, so all I'm left with is minus 16, which is an integer. Then moving on to question 8, it says f of x equals 2x minus 1, g of x equals x squared for all values of x. And it says show that the inverse function of 49 minus the g f of 3 equals 0. So again, let's first of all work out the inverse function of f of x. So again, make it equal to y. Then make x the subject, so I've got y plus 1 divided by 2 equals x. So the inverse function of x equals x plus 1 divided by 2. Let's just put a little box around that. Then working out gf of x. Well, that's substituting f into x. So that then becomes 2x minus 1 squared, which then becomes 4x, well actually I can leave it as that. You could expand it, but just for argument's sake I'm going to leave it in this form. So then working this out, I get f minus 1 of 49 is going to equal 49 plus 1 divided by 2. So all I've done is just substituted f of 49 in this expression here. So working out, that then becomes 50 divided by 2, which is 25. Then if I work out gf of 3, so this is where I'm substituting 3 into this. Now this is where not expanded brackets comes in handy. So 2 times 3 is 6, take away 1 squared. 6 take away 1 is 5, 5 squared is 25. And as you can see, then 25 take away 25 is 0. Then moving on to question 9, it says f of x equals 3x plus 1 for all values of x. Find an expression for the inverse function. So the problem we've got with this one is we've got x's on both top and by bottom. So first of all, let's work with the steps. So first of all, make equal to y. So I get 3x plus 1 over x minus 5. Then I put brackets around the denominator. I'm going to take this over to the other side. So I end up with y x minus 5 equals 3x plus 1. Then expand the brackets, I get xy minus 5y equals 3x plus 1. Now remember, I want to make x the subject, so let's take this 3x over to this side and this 5y over to the other side. So I get xy minus 3x equals 5y plus 1. Then if I factorize the left hand side with respect to x, so I get y minus 3 equals 5y plus 1. I then take this bracket over to the side, so I get x equals 5y plus 1, all divided by y minus 3. And this is why I do my replacing. So the inverse function of x is going to be 5x plus 1 over x minus 3. Then moving on to our last question, it says f of x equals 2x over 3 and g of x equals x minus x squared for all values of x. Solve the inverse function of x equals g f of x. So first of all, let's work out the inverse function of x. So again, make it equal to y. And then again, making x the subject. So 3y equals 2x. So 3y over 2 equals x. So then the inverse function of x is going to be 3x over 2. Let's put a little box around that. Then working out gf of x. So this is where I substitute this wherever I see an x. So instead of writing x in g, I'm going to write 2x over 3 minus bracket 2x over 3 squared. Then simplifying this, I get 2 over 3x minus, and then square both the numerator and the denominator, so that's going to be 4x squared over 9. I then got an algebraic fraction, so I then want to have a common denominator, which in this case is going to be 9. So the second fraction hasn't changed at all. This first fraction I need to multiply by 3 over 3, so that becomes 6x. So then combining that as a single fraction is going to be 6x minus 4x squared all over 9. Now that is what g f of x looks like. So now all that's left for me to then do is combine to write this using this and using this. So here, if I just write it down here, so f minus 1 of x equals g f of x, in which this is going to be 3x over 2, and gf of x is 6x minus 4x squared over 9. Now at this stage, if I do a bit of cross multiplying, I get 3x multiplied by 9 equals 2 lots of 6x minus 4x squared. So that becomes 27x equals 12x minus 8x squared. So then becomes a quadratic equation. So let's take all of this over to this side. So we end up with 8x squared plus, and it's going to be 15x equals 0. I then need to factorise this, so I could take an x out. So I've got 8x plus 15 equals 0. So then x either equals 0 or 8x plus 15 equals 0, in which 8x equals minus 15. So x equals minus 15 over 8. So these two numbers here are my answer. So the final answer then is x equals 0 or x equals minus 15 over 8.